The training field roared with the sound of boots hitting the dirt, gunfire echoing off steel targets, and instructors shouting orders sharp enough to cut through the morning fog. Dozens of Navy SEAL candidates pushed through the grueling final phase of Hell Week, mud-slicked, bleeding, exhausted, yet refusing to quit. Near the observation platform stood a woman in civilian clothes, jeans, a weather jacket, and dark sunglasses. She leaned quietly against the railing, her posture casual but her eyes locked on the chaos below. Nobody knew who she was. To the recruits, she was just another spectator, maybe a journalist, or someone's wife waiting for the show to end. "Ma'am, this area's restricted," a young petty officer said, approaching her. He sounded more nervous than stern. She smiled slightly. "I was cleared by Commander Brooks." The petty officer blinked. "Brooks? Yes, ma'am." He hesitated, then jogged off. From across the yard, Commander Brooks himself was barking orders, his voice like thunder. "Move it, SEALs. You think the enemy waits for you to breathe." He turned for a brief moment, and that's when he saw her. His words froze mid-yell. His jaw clenched, eyes narrowing with disbelief. For a second, even the whistle in his hand lowered. The woman didn't move. The wind lifted her sleeve slightly, just enough for a faded tattoo to peek through. A single black trident with an anchor and skull, the unmistakable insignia of the Navy SEALs, surrounded by a line of coordinates few would recognize. Brooks's breath hitched. That tattoo, there was only one person who had earned that design. The coordinates marked the location of an off-book mission, classified at the highest level. A mission that had gone dark years ago. He strode toward her, eyes sharp. The chatter around the field began to fade. Recruits noticed their commander's sudden silence, their own movements slowing in confusion. When he reached her, he stopped 2 feet away. "That ink, where did you get it?" he asked quietly, almost demanding. She lifted her sunglasses, meeting his gaze with calm, steel-gray eyes. "Same place you did, Commander. Except I never left anyone behind." The words hit harder than a punch. A few of the older instructors turned their heads sharply. Brooks looked like he'd seen a ghost. "Captain Hale," he whispered, disbelief bleeding through his voice. "They said you were dead," she finished, tucking her sleeve back down. "Yeah, they said a lot of things." Every recruit nearby stopped moving. The commander of SEAL Team 7, the one who never flinched, never froze, was standing silent before a woman who wasn't supposed to exist. "Mind if I watch?" she asked softly. "It's been a while since I've seen how the new generation handles the mud." Brooks nodded slowly, his voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, ma'am, you can watch." But everyone knew, she wasn't just watching. Something had changed the moment she stepped onto that field. The air on the training field had shifted. Conversations that once buzzed with energy were now laced with tension and disbelief. Every eye darted toward the woman on the platform, the one the commander called Captain Hale. Commander Brooks stood stiffly at her side, his face unreadable but his mind racing. She was gone, he kept thinking. Declared Kia, her entire unit wiped out. And yet, here she was, alive, calm, watching the drills like she'd never left. Below them, one of the recruits whispered, "Who is she?" Another replied, "Whoever she is, Commander just called her captain." Hale ignored the murmurs. Her gaze was fixed on a struggling candidate dragging a teammate through the mud. The younger man's form was all wrong, weak grip, poor footing. She sighed, then stepped forward, her voice cutting across the field. "Stop." The recruits froze instantly. Even the instructors turned. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried authority, the kind that came from years of command, not rank on a uniform. She walked down the platform stairs, boots sinking slightly into the dirt. When she reached the exhausted trainee, she knelt beside him. "You're pulling dead weight wrong," she said, her tone not scolding but precise. "You're trying to drag your partner with your back, not from your core. You'll burn out before you get 10 meters. The young SEAL in training blinked, unsure if he should respond. "Yes, ma'am," he stammered. She nodded. "Try again." He followed her instructions. This time, his movement was smoother, faster, efficient. The other recruits stared, stunned by how simple and effective her correction had been. Brooks finally found his voice. "Captain, what are you doing here?" Hale rose slowly, brushing dirt from her jeans. "You tell me, Commander. 3 years ago, your after-action report listed my team as lost during Operation Phantom Tide." Her gaze locked on his. "I was captured, not killed. Someone in your chain closed the file before extraction ever came." The field went dead silent. Even the wind seemed to pause. Brooks's throat tightened. That mission was scrubbed by higher command. I didn't know. Didn't you? She asked softly. You were the one who signed off on the final report. He looked away. Guilt flickered in his eyes. Hale sighed, her tone cooling. Relax, Commander. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here because the Pentagon reinstated me, effective last week. They want the next generation trained by someone who's been to hell and walked out of it. She turned to the recruits. You want to wear that trident? She said, voice sharp again. Then forget what you think you know about pain. I've seen real pain, and it doesn't stop when the whistle blows. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Brooks straightened, nodding once. SEAL candidates, he called, his voice firm, meet your new instructor, Captain Aria Hale. The silence broke into a low ripple of awe. The ghost of a legend had returned, and Hell Week had just begun again.